It will always be very wild to me how people police other people's pockets but won't brush their tongue when they brush their teeth. And that quote is by yours truly, me, Miss Toya Washington. Hello everybody, welcome to Tuesday's episode of the Toy Talks podcast. My name is of course Toya Washington. Each and every Tuesday we have a brand new episode here on the Toy Talks podcast, which is available on all podcast platforms. This episode I have entitled The Business of Marriage. And the reason why I wanted to do this episode was to talk about the business of marriage, because I feel like people don't actually talk about that side of marriage, the business, the financial side, the emotional side of marriage, but more so leaning towards the financial. And when I talk about emotional, it's more about how each party supports the other to bring out the best in excellence of that person. And I think what people focus on is the glamorous marriage, the big flowers, the big hair, the amazing outfits. But there is a bit before that I think that people need to talk about and consider. And obviously when you're in a marriage, and I've been married now since July last year, but the business of marriage started for me a few years before Kay and I got married. And I planned to do this episode, but what has kind of brought this episode to the forefront was I always say to you guys, the ancestors choose the topics. That's the truth. The ancestors will throw up things, something will happen, and sorry about that. I have to put reminders on my phone to remind me to rest and go to bed. I'm not even lying. So the business of marriage. On Saturday, just gone. So that would have been 4-3-2. The 2nd of, was it? 4-3-2. Yeah, the 2nd of April. I received a message from a burner account. I always think that people that use burner accounts to deliberately troll other people are cowards, because you should be able to front what you're doing. You should be able to show your face and show your name. But cowards hide behind falsehood. But it's okay, we move. And in this message that this person has sent to me, they basically said that they would like a podcast episode. And it was a very rude message. You need to do a podcast episode about, the reality of working many jobs like you. It's obvious that you earn more than Kay, and how you have to pay for your own wedding. And the person then went on to call me a desperado, somebody who's desperate. I met Kay off Tinder, etc. And I sent them a message because I was quite shocked. I was shocked because this was before 10 o'clock on a Saturday. This person is so invested and so bothered by me and my life that this person couldn't hold themselves any further. They created a burner account just for me and messaged me before 10 o'clock. These times, I'm getting ready to go into London and get my manicure and pedicure and really just relax. But this person chose violence. And then this person wants to tell me that they're happy in their life. And there's just no way. Happy people do not have time to troll other people. Happy people don't have time to create burner accounts. And people who have lives, people who actually brush their teeth at a reasonable hour of the morning, don't create burner accounts before they've brushed their teeth or their tongue, washed their vaginas, washed their armpits, to troll somebody who you don't even know. Or do you? What was actually quite disgusting is I very well knew that the person behind that burner account was a black woman, 100%. I staked my life on it. I'm absolutely certain. And it was the assumption that actually irritated me, that it's very obvious that I earn more than Kay. After all, why do I have 2 jobs? So the business of marriage as a topic, you can see why we've had to bring it here to the podcast. So before we get into the business of marriage, there's a couple of things that I want to clear up. First of all, I do not earn more than Kay. We are on par. I would say he earns maybe slightly more than me. And the gap has been closer together. When we first met, Kay earned so much more than I did. Whereas now I pull my weight. Yeah. This podcast is for black women, to black women, about black women. And I didn't think that I had to come on here and discuss Kay and what he earns and what he does, and I don't, and I won't. as far as I'm concerned, Kay is not for public consumption. He has an amazing job. He has been working for his company for several years. They love him. They reward him. They have rewarded him, and he's in a very good position. Kay is my life partner. He is my best friend. He is the man that my dad always told me that I would marry to bring out the best in me, and I'm so happy that I met somebody like Kay. And I want to say that meeting Kay on Tinder was probably one of the best things I've ever done, because my friend told me I wasn't going to meet my man underneath my bed because I hardly went out. And if I was ashamed of where I met Kay, I would never share that I met Kay on Tinder. You know it because I've said it, right? If I didn't say it, you would know it. If it makes me desperate for meeting Kay on Tinder, then I will hold up my hands and I'm desperate T. But you know what? I'm desperate T with a nice clarity cut ring that blings and shines. And I'm with a man that has not only brought out the best in me, but has caused me to be able and created a safe space for me to emotionally and mentally be healthy enough to exist in a world that I've often found quite difficult, especially since my dad died. I think it's important that we put things into perspective here. The perspective is this: don't make any assumptions about anybody you don't know. And I don't know why people feel so comfortable to police other people's pockets. These times where pockets have holes in them, your money is dropping out, but you want to police mine. I want to be clear that I don't have 2 jobs. I have 2 contracts. I'm a consultant. And the only thing that I think that I missed a trick about is understanding how to really utilize being a contractor. The pandemic has very much worked for me and many others. It's given me the opportunity to really understand how to be a financially savvy contractor, meaning having more than one contract. If I knew this many years ago when I started contracting, I think financially I would have been in a far, far, far better position than I am now. And I'm not criticizing the position I am in now. I'm in a good financial position, and I can literally say that I'm reaching the peak of my career, both financially, both from a title perspective and just from an experience perspective. I want to also say this: if you meet the right person, be it a man or a woman, they will open you up to reaching the epicenter of your excellence. Because I'm telling you, before I even met Kay, I was very independent, made my own money. I was discovering life, walking in the wilderness, but things were difficult. And people that have followed me from Snapchat days, in fact, even before Snapchat, when I was an African entertainment TV presenter, when I was doing the reality show, understand where the journey has come from, where I am, where I was then and where I am now. Being able to have more than one contract has afforded me the opportunity to not only exponentially rise in my career, but it's afforded me the financial opportunity to do many things. If you think that my career stops at just what I do for a living, then you don't know me. I have investments. I've invested in quite a few things. I am very financially savvy in a way that I never was before, because I didn't have the financial understanding and I didn't have respect for money enough to be in the position that I am now. But it's come through education, through life experience, and being with a man who has been able to be financially naked with me and being able to financially teach me how to be more responsible with money. My mindset had to change about money for me to also be able to make money. So when we had the episode about financial nakedness and understanding where some of our toxic relationship with money comes from, it's to understand how to then have a better relationship with money so that you can make money and value it when you make it. Everything about the Toya Talks podcast has always been to teach, guide and educate Black women how to navigate the world of work safely and highlight the path of your success. The word there that is quite pertinent to this episode is success. How you define success. Part of my definition of success is money. I like money. I'm not ashamed to say I like money. But you know what I like more than just liking money? It's being able to be independent enough to make my own money without having to rely on my husband, who was before then my fiance, and before then my boyfriend. I've never asked Kay for a penny. Not one penny. I've never asked him for absolutely anything. And don't get it twisted. If I want something, if I need something, Kay will make it available to me. That's how we have it patterned. But I'm going to be very clear when I say to you, being financially independent as a black woman is a must, is an absolute must. Because the idea for me of relying on anybody, let alone a man, for money, is incompatible with the way I was raised. My dad always said to me, you have to learn to stand on your own 2 feet and be financially independent. You can't be dependent on anybody, not even me. And at the time, I never really understood what that meant until my father died. And then I realised the reason why I couldn't be solely dependent on him is because he would not be here forever. And I would have to find a way to survive, make my own money, mentally, psychologically, be able to navigate the world and life. Financial independence has given me the opportunity to invest in property. It's given me the opportunity to invest in myself, my education, and my career. No one can ever say, I lent Toya money and this is why she was able to do X, Y, Z. No one can ever say that to me. If I've wanted anything, I've had to work and save for it. To make the assumption that I have 2 jobs and therefore that's why I'm desperate, I'm paying for my own wedding and all of this, I actually understand and I actually see the compliment in what you're saying. So effectively what you're trying to say is I built a home of almost £500,000, and because of my two jobs I was able to build that house, and everything else that has come with it, I've done it all on my own and Kay has done nothing. That even sounds ridiculous to actually say it. But I'm happy to have that discussion here. If it means that it opens a wider discussion about the business of marriage. Kay has a very, very, very good job. A very good job. And when I first met Kay, you have to understand, even when we were talking on Tinder, and I've said this to people before on the podcast, on a podcast episode, when you are doing your due diligence as part of the dating scene, I had to date a lot of guys to understand how to date with intention that led me to meet Kay. So that meant that there were certain things that I realised through the dating process that was a non-negotiable. And one of them is not only having meeting a man that was financially literate and had a healthy understanding and relationship with money, but somebody who could hold down a good job. Now, when you talk about hold down a good job, for me, holding down a good job was important because I knew I was a go-getter. I knew that at the time I was working at Goldman Sachs, yeah? And whilst I didn't have a great relationship with money, I didn't want to have to apologise for my success, because in previous relationships, I was apologising for my success, I was hiding it, I was pretending like it was insignificant. And I realised that I would never reach my full potential if I was constantly hiding or apologising for what I've worked hard for. So I needed somebody who I deemed as better than me. I needed somebody who had more life experience than me, because I wanted to learn from that person, grow with that person, and have that person teach me the things that I didn't know. Everybody's criteria when they're dating or thinking of getting married is completely different. I'm just sharing mine, because when we talk about the business of marriage, the business starts before the marriage starts, because there is a lot of things that you have to iron out, both financially, psychologically, even from a business perspective, to be able to enter a healthy marriage. One of the things I've always said to Kay is I never want to argue over money, ever. So in order to be in a position where I would never argue about money with a man, he had to be able to make his own money. I wanted a man who was financially more well off than me, because I felt as though I knew that I would reach a certain financial standing. I always knew I had the ability to do it. But what I never wanted to do is be in a situation with somebody whereby I was funding their life, or because I'm quite a giving person and I know myself. I wanted somebody who is a bit more well off than me, and that is the truth. And I make no apologies, and I'm shameless in saying it. Because when you talk about the business of marriage, half of marriages fail because of money. Half of marriages fail because of money, the lack thereof. There's certain conversations that you're supposed to have before you get married. Some people are not having those conversations. I want to understand what your relationship with money is like, how many loans you've got out, how many credit cards you've got out. I want to have those conversations. When I met Kay, I was financially okay. I wasn't great because my relationship with money was really bad. And one day Kay said to me, "You're buying these designer bags, Toya, but you still have these debts that you haven't paid off. Why is that?" You see, when you get into a relationship with somebody and you are walking the path of marriage, being financially naked with somebody should be easy to do. If you are with somebody who is not going to be transparent about their finances, you better run. You better run. Because what that means is either there's something to hide, or they don't trust you with that information, or they're not willing to be transparent. And if they're not willing to do either one of those three things, a marriage is not going to work. Because when two people come together, they come together bringing their finances. They bring other things, of course, but for the purposes of the business of marriage, they bring their finances together, which means that you create a greater pot of money. There is no way I could have afforded this house build without Kay, because we bought our finances together. Do you understand? I've never owned a house before. I've told you guys this before. Kay and I had to bring our finances together to be able to build a house, pay for the house, furnish the house, you name it. And we saved. This is what I say to people. How did the pandemic work for you? Because with any given situation, I'm thinking, how can I make the best of this situation for myself? You'd never had to travel because for a majority of the pandemic, especially in 2020, we was in lockdown. So I was already saving my transport money. I am a contractor. I know how much my day rate is. It's very healthy. Kay works where he works because I'm not going to go and share that. It's not my business to share. But he's got a good job and we saved. We have a family savings account and we have to put money in there. Not only do we have to put money in there, but we were saving our travel money that we never spent on travel because we was at home. And then I realised that I could have more than one contract. I'm a contractor, I'm a freelance. I could do what I like through my limited company. And we have both different revenue streams. Different revenue streams. We've got our careers and we've got different... Kay's got an investment portfolio that I'm not only very proud of, but inspired me to build on my own. So when it was time to draw down so that we can invest in our future for our children, for our family, it was easy to do. It was easy. Dealing with a broker was easy because we already had financial footprint. We had a flat, we had investments, so it made sense. If anybody thinks that just because I don't talk about Kay and what he does and all this other stuff, that he's just there staring at me, then you really don't know me. That means you don't listen to the podcast. But that person that created that burner account, it was very personal. So I won't be surprised if that person knows me or knows of me and I've cut you off and now you're feeling a little bitter. Or maybe you're just somebody who's very envious because you're very sad in your own life. It takes a very sad person to wake up before 10 o'clock to create violence, and you dedicated a whole burner account for me, when what you need to be doing is updating your CV. What you need to be doing is paying off your overdraft so that you're able to realise the money that you actually make at work, rather than spending your time investing in your own bitterness. That's what you need to do. I will gather edges and sideburns today. I come here every week, and not only am I transparent, I'm honest about my trials and tribulations, but more importantly about my learnings that has enabled me to navigate the world of work successfully. I'm at a stage in my career now, I'm sorry, I have to be honest, and if it sounds like boasting, I don't actually give a fucking shit. I actually don't give a shit. But I'm at a stage in my career now where I get approached for jobs to, oh, Toy, can you work here for 2 weeks? Could you do this? And I get to say no. Why wouldn't somebody have more than one contract as a contractor? You see, for you to even question that, I know that you're not of the same mindset as me. You don't understand how contracting works, because a contractor would find that question stupid. It's a stupid question. My friends who have been contracting for over 20 years, they will say to you that they have at any one time 2 or 3 contracts running at the same time. So for me, I'm an infant at this. 2 months ago, one of my old bosses from a previous organisation I used to work at, she's gone in and she's working for a particular organisation outside of the UK. And she said to me that she is working with this organisation with a particular team. They had a project and they have no contract management whatsoever. And she says, Toya, they're going to be audited. Toya, would you mind casting your commercial contract eye on a contract management of a particular project, and it's maybe 2-3 days, it'll take you a week max. Name your price. She told me to name my price. It took me 2 days, and in 2 days I made £4,500. 2 days work. It was light work. It took me maybe 3 hours. 2 hours one day, 1 hour another. So why would I not do that? Or do you think that I take on more than one contract because Kay's a pampered man at home? He's a Kenyan man, and if you know anything about Kenyan men, you know that they protect their home, they bring home. Do you understand? When we talk about the business of marriage, I spoke about initially in this episode about financial freedom, financial transparency and honesty, and also developing your own understanding of where maybe your toxic relationship with money comes from. Mine came from poverty. I had nothing. I was poor. I had nothing. When you are having to roll up toilet paper and use them as sanitary towels, you ain't got no money. That was me. And I had heavy periods. When you're having to make a decision between chicken wings and putting money on the emergency electric, I had nothing. So I'm not going to sit here and make you feel better because you're incapable of taking opportunities and you're incapable of investing in yourself to get to where you need to go. Instead of checking for my pockets, what you need to do is focus on yourself and ask yourself, why are you so fixated in the life that I have? On the Saturday that this happened, I spoke briefly about the episode I was preparing, as in this podcast episode, and a black queen reached out to me. She said, you know what, Toya, I can relate. She said, you know, I shared with somebody that I was going on holiday, and the person replied, oh, you're going on holiday again? These times this person is living their best life, but you're questioning how many times this queen is going on holiday. Why is it that as a community, there are some that find it so hard to just be happy for other people? What is it about other people's happiness that shakes the foundation of what you do not have, about your own insecurity? What is that about? The most disappointing thing is I know that the person that created that burner account and sought to make assumptions about my life is a black woman. I know it. That's probably what I found more disappointing. So out of everything that's spoken about on the podcast, all the lessons, all the advice, all the examples, everything else, all the knowledge, all you took from that is the assumption about certain things that are not only false and untrue, but are based on your own insecurities. You must be very, very fixated with me. Very. Do you know how much effort it takes to create a burner account on a Saturday? Before 10 a.m. Do you know how much time? And I think to myself, time is money. Time is valued. Do you know how much I charge for my time? How much a company has to pay me for my time? And you did that for free. And you want to call me desperate and a desperado? I think you're desperate for attention. You need to invest that type of time in creating a revenue stream for yourself where you actually get paid for your time. You didn't get paid for that on Saturday. You didn't. But what you sought to do was waste my time. Because for about 5 minutes, I was messaging you, asking you why. What is this? Why are you sending me this? When I realised actually you needed my attention. And that is an attention that I could have given to something else, and I gave it to you. I should be sending you an invoice, to be honest.
On the Future is Freelance podcast, we believe freelancing is the future of life, work, and everything. So whether you're brand new to working independently or you're a seasoned pro, we'd love you to listen. Every episode unpacks new ideas on how to make your future freelance. Whether you need to achieve business minimalism, survive a solopreneur crisis, or find the right digital nomad visa and community, we've got you covered, alongside actionable insight on everything from finding gigs to outsourcing support services, even mastering TikTok with no dancing required. Subscribe to The Future is Freelance on your favourite podcasting app via the link in your show notes.
Culturally, or at least back in the day, you know, when there used to be like arranged marriages and stuff, and I said used to be because in my culture, in Nigerian culture and Igbo culture, we still do arranged marriage. We call them introductions, and I know for other cultures, arranged marriage is part and parcel of people's culture. So when thinking about marriage and things like that, especially when I was growing up, there was a heavy emphasis on family and how much a family was valued and worth and things like that. And whilst that shouldn't be the only reason why people get married, I just want us to focus on it for a moment, in that there was still emphasis placed on finances, because I think that there's other reasons, but from my perspective, it's to show you the importance of what financial wealth actually means. When two families come together, that's two types of wealth coming together. Do you understand? And I think it's the same for marriages today. You know, when we're thinking about our life partners, we should be thinking about money too and finances, I'm sorry. Because for me personally, I didn't want to marry somebody who did not have some type of financial standing. If that makes me shallow, then I am shallow, leave me in the shallow water. But in order for you to realize your full potential as a person, you have to meet somebody who's willing to meet you halfway. And that's also halfway financially. Yeah? I feel as though when we talk about who earns more in a relationship, so it could be from a male's perspective, woman's perspective, non-binary perspective, whatever the perspective is. From my experience, yeah, there has been times when Kay has earned more than me. There's been times when I've earned more than Kay. But I've always known that there's going to be a certain point in my life where I'm going to have to take a step back from my career to focus more on raising a family. So I've always said to myself, I need to get to the highest peak of my career before I make that decision to step away. And that's because I'm not the type of person to be a stay-at-home mum. I'm just not that. I'm too much of a busybody to be a stay-at-home mum. And I have respect for stay-at-home mums. When I was a child, my mum was a stay-at-home mum for many years before she went and, you know, continued on with her career. She was a stay-at-home mum, and I benefited from it. I loved coming home to my mum and my mum picking me up from school. I loved all of those things. I didn't recognise that we didn't have a lot of money. I didn't recognise that, you know, my dad couldn't afford for my mum not to work. But that was just the position we were in. You know, we didn't have a lot of money. And I just remember just feeling warmth growing up as a kid. And that to me was more valued than money. I didn't recognise money at that point. Do you understand? But to the point that I make is that at the time, when that time comes, Kay will be earning more than me. He will be. Because I'll still have like my other revenue streams and things like that, my investments and stuff like that. But Kay at that point will be earning more than me. And I accept that. But I also accept that I can pull my own weight. Kay knows that if anything was to happen, that I've got us. And I think from the perspective of me being a woman and understanding the culture I come from, that's a really big thing. It's a massive thing because of the way that my father raised me. He raised me to stand on my own 2 feet. He raised me not to be dependent on anybody. The only time I've been dependent on anything or anyone was the state when I was unemployed and I was claiming benefits. That was it. But even then, I was still trying to get into work. It wasn't like I just decided that was now going to be my financial position to just be on benefits. I apologise as well if you can hear like a fan. I use my MacBook Air and I don't know, maybe because it's getting older now, so I'm actually going to replace it. to the new M1, because apparently the M1 doesn't have a fan, so I will be changing this laptop which I used to record the podcast, so I apologise if the fan is quite loud. I digress. I think that it's really important to talk about prenups, and some people see prenups as a foregone conclusion that you've decided that your marriage is not going to be successful, and I don't actually believe that. I believe in prenups because I believe that when the going is good, everything is fine. But you really know the true essence of somebody when there's hurt feelings and when there is a separation. We only have to look at Kim Kardashian and Kanye West to see what a bad fallout looks like. I believe in prenups, and that's just my personal opinion. Okay, I believe that it's important to have those conversations, and don't get me wrong, there's some couples where one person believes in prenups, the other one doesn't, or both don't, or whatever the situation is. I personally believe in them, and I believe in them for the reasons I've said. Now, I don't necessarily think that in this country, prenuptial agreements have weight, but they are not seen as they don't have as much weight as they do in America. So it would guide the judge in kind of having a decision about finances, including financial assets. But it isn't a foregone conclusion just because you have a prenup. It just shows the intentions of the parties here in the UK. In the States, it holds a lot more weight. I believe in them. And I think that it's important to have those conversations. So there's a lot of conversations people have before they get married. And as well as finances, you talk about, like, if things weren't to work out, how do you see our assets being divided? Yeah? And I think that unless you are willing to be financially naked with your partner, there's no point getting married to them. And you have to bear in mind as well that you become financial associates. So, for example, if you look on my credit report, it has a financial associate who is Kay. You look on Kay's financial credit report, his financial associate is me. So you're interlinked. You're interlinked. So if you're that interlinked, why can't you have a conversation about finances? So you're happy for us to be interlinked and for the credit reference agencies to know that we're associates, but you're not happy to be financially open with me. And let me tell you something. When you are taking out a mortgage, whether you like it or not, you are going to be financially naked with that person, because the broker's going to ask you questions that the other person questions in front of each other. You're going to see emails, you're going to see everything. I want you to be very clear. I see Kay's bank statements. He sees mine. He sees everything. You know, I don't have anything to hide. I genuinely believe that at the end of the day, I make my own money. And therefore, I decide what I want to get. As long as from a family perspective, we have family goals together and we have individual goals. But one thing that I will always hold dear is that Kay has never ever tried to stifle my independence. He encourages it. When I said I was going contracting, Kay was very risk averse, but he understood that not only am I a free spirit, but I knew that the financial viability in my chosen career path. And I understood the financial risk of contracting, and I've never looked back. I earn good money. I do. I'm not going to lie to you. And I have other investments and I have other revenue streams. It's not just my career. And I think as women, we have to be able to not only stand on our own 2 feet, but be able to be financially savvy and make investments outside of the world of work. You know, I know Halifax has like a brokerage account that you can have that you can sign up for, and you obviously have to go through credit scoring and stuff like that. And you can sign up to certain things, and when either businesses or organisations are floating on the stock market, they will tell you how you can buy shares, and there may be a minimum floor price of a share, like £500 or something, and you can decide if you want to buy shares in certain things. Listen, no one taught me these things, I did my research, I had conversations, I utilised the people I had around me to download their knowledge to be able to do certain things. I'm really proud of my portfolio, but I could do better, I can do more. Yeah? I think that as women, we owe it to ourselves to be financially independent because patriarchy, because freedom, because individuality. And this is why when I come on this podcast, I say I pick black women first, because we are underrepresented often, or overlooked, or sometimes just ignored. There needs to be a safe space for us to talk about how we navigate the world of work successfully. And I understand also the other side of things, whereby maybe you don't earn as much money, so then after you've paid your bills and everything, you don't have enough left over to do certain things. But this is why I have certain masterclasses. This is why I have created a platform where I teach, guide and educate you, so that when you're navigating the world of work, the idea is that you navigate up, right? So that you are able to earn a higher amount of money, so that you're able to have a better job title, so that you're able to understand how to move in white spaces, so that you can reach your career goals and attain success. What does success mean to you? I've asked you guys this in previous episodes. Success can mean money. It can't only mean money, but it can mean money. For me, success includes money, okay? I knew by a certain age I wanted to be earning a certain amount of money. I needed to have certain investments. Do you understand? I understood how important it was for me when my dad died, because at that point, I realised that I was in a world by myself. I was always, and I have always been the type of person that I help other people before I help myself. I do. I have done so much stuff that will probably never ever reach your ears, because I'm not doing it for an audience. I'm doing it because that's the just type of person I am. You guys know, I've told you before, I've paid people's uni fees before. I have. Last year of uni, can't afford uni fees, I paid it. I've donated money to charity. I've been donating money to charity. I've been sponsoring people their first 6 months of work. Don't get me started. I've got proof, I've got the evidence. This is what I do. Because I know that when I'm sowing into my community, I know not only am I being blessed from it, but I understand the importance of to be able to sow into the future generation. Because the only way that you can break generational curses is being able to sow. You have to be able to sow and give. I also think that part of the reason why this particular troll anyway is confused is because not only do I make moves, but I move in silence. I move in silence. You guys just see the end result. But sometimes you guys are not seeing what happens before that end result. You're not there having the conversations. You're not having financial planning meetings with me. You're not speaking to one of the bank managers and having financial planning meetings with a bank manager. You're not having conversations with financial advisors. You're not doing those things. You're not seeing those things. All you're seeing is the end result. And I want to be very clear to people. I don't have two heads. I do not have two heads. If you want to make something happen, sacrifice is required. Time, energy. You have to be able to make sacrifices. You will never reap where you have not sown. I know where I came from and I know where I don't want to go back to. And my dad always said, when you forget where you come from, you go back there. I want to share something. So, obviously I shared with you, Kay and I built a house, this, that and the third. Yeah? But you know that I found the move very traumatic. Number one, I have sometimes found change quite challenging. Number two, when we moved, I was suffering from chronic imposter syndrome. Now, the reason why I was suffering from this imposter syndrome is because I felt like, am I deserving? And it sounds crazy, right? Especially when you've sown, you've sacrificed, you've worked hard, you've done the late nights. To the extent that I was feeling upset, angry, and not understanding the reason why. Feeling as though, can I give myself permission to be happy? And I think it's because some people who I expected to be happy, like family members, seemed angry. I remember telling a particular person, or we telling particular people, and they're asking us certain questions. There was no congratulations. It was almost like they were trying to poke holes in what we've just told you, that the reason why you haven't seen us for almost 12 months is because of this. And now it's manifested. You're questioning it and asking us, are we sure, effectively? Whilst Kay and I are pouring into other people all the time. I had a friend, she was even supposed to be part of my wedding, I didn't realise that she had been unemployed for 12 months. It's a podcast and it's coming. 12 months. As soon as I found out that she was unemployed for 12 months, I felt a sense of responsibility. How have I let my friend down? And I'm going from one contract to another, living my very best life. And my friend had been unemployed for 12 months and I had no clue. So you know what Toya did, innit? I ripped off my singlet and put on my Superwoman cape. Yeah. I sorted out her CV. I got her a job where my last contract was. I got her a job, literally, because she went to do the interview and Deborah said, nah. I said, Deborah, you've got a requirement, you've got a vacancy, this is a person. I said, do it. If you're gonna do it, if you're not gonna do it, just do it for me. Deborah gave her the job. It is by far one of my top 5 biggest career regrets. Biggest career regrets. That podcast is coming. But the reason why I give the example now is to let you know that just because you don't see what happens in the background doesn't mean it's not happening. If I eat, everybody eats around me, and that's on, period. For me, I see it as, if I'm pouring into others, I know God will replenish me. The ancestors will make sure I am covered. So then, knowing that and then feeling the imposter syndrome, like I'm not worthy, it just didn't make any sense to me. And I almost felt angry, like, and it made me feel like, am I being ungrateful? I'm being ungrateful here. But I didn't know how to be happy. I did not know how to be happy about the sacrifice and the investment Kay and I had made and how we have now manifested it. I just felt like I was undeserving. The imposter syndrome was real. On Sunday just gone, at 5 a.m. in the morning, we had an alarm go off in the house. Now, we have a very high-tech security system in the house. So we thought it was a security system. Little did Kay and I know at the time that it was the carbon monoxide alarm going off. When we realised it had gone off, we did everything to switch it off. When we switched it off, Kay called National Grid and Kay and I had to evacuate the house. When National Grid came to the house, they could not put the gas on. They said they think that there's been a leak somewhere. Obviously, Kay had opened all the windows and everything of the house. And what they said is they think it's safe for us to come in the house, but before they allow us in the house, we need to call a gas company. Now, Kay and I have only moved in here a week ago, by the way. We don't know who our local anything is. So Kay went on Google, found someone, obviously at a premium they're charging us, right? They're coming out, gone after 5 o'clock in the morning. So gas company comes out, they said, you've got gas leak somewhere. And the National Grid has switched off the gas and everything, but there's no heating, no hot water. And obviously at the time, Kay and I had a headache as well. So for them, it was showing evidence of carbon monoxide, right, in the house, and obviously been affected, and the alarm went off, and Kay and I are now directly affected by it. So they allowed us to enter the house, no heating, no hot water. So you know what Kay and I had to do in it, because if you know anything about me, I'm a clean freak. Kay and I set off. We bought buckets. Kay bought kettle, toaster. National Grid was so kind to give us one of those electric, those camper van pods where you can actually cook on it, right? So I don't know what you call those things. We got some fan heaters. National Grid were nice enough. Now I can see where my taxes are going. Brilliant. Didn't have to pay for that, but had to go and get the buckets and everything. Kay and I had to fill the pot up with water, the kettle with water, and we had to take it back to bucket baths. So you know me, I got my Dettol out, my big bottle of Dettol, and Kay and I had to boil hot water, everything. As I was taking a bath with my bucket, I was having a bucket bath, there was a level of peace I felt over me. Because I felt as though the ancestors were using this situation to teach me a lesson. And let me tell you what that lesson is. Toya, this bucket bath is where you started. Your hustle started from the bucket bath. So since you are not affording yourself the permission to be happy at this home, we're going to take you back to where you started. Remember what I told you my father said, when you forget where you have come from, you go back there. And I went back there on Sunday. As I washed myself, I mean, for me, bucket baths are the cleanest baths ever, right? I washed myself. Kay was like, Toya, why are you not worried? Why are you not, they might have to dig the house up. Maybe there's a pipe, there's something. I said, Kay, this thing will be sorted tomorrow. He said, why do you say that? I said, I feel it. I said, don't you know the ancestors are having a laugh at my expense? Because I've been ungrateful. I have shown some form of ingratitude through my imposter syndrome. So the ancestors want to teach me a lesson by reminding me how I started, because no one gave me this. We worked hard for it. We made the sacrifice. And yet I can't be happy because it's like I don't want to give myself permission to be happy. So God's saying, okay, I'll take you back to how you started so you can appreciate and give yourself the permission to be happy. God's so kind today. We had, obviously I had to send out a strong email with the lawyer on copy, the developer, the architect, you name it, they were all on copy there. 8:30 in the morning, they were at our door. There was like 8 of them. They got to work, and they found that there was one pipe where the knot wasn't tight enough. So the carbon monoxide alarm is very sensitive. Now, they will tell you, oh, it was just a little bit, but it was enough for the carbon monoxide alarm to go off. Yeah? So they tightened up the bolt, they did checks and everything, and they were happy that they could put the gas back on. We're back in the house. Yeah? I say back in the house, but we were back in anyway. But you know what I mean? We've got a fully operational house. The reason why I'm sharing this is because when we talk about the business of marriage, 2 people are coming from their respective situations. And the idea is you come together to build, to grow. As women, as black women, we have to have our own. But we also have to give ourselves permission to reap the fruits of our labour. Because we as black women, we labour with a capital labour. When you forget where you have come from, you will go back there. So better that when you have made the sacrifices, you give yourself permission to enjoy those fruits. The business of marriage is not just 2 people coming together. You yourself, you are a business. I've told you guys, whether you're a contractor or an employee, you are a business. How you operate as a business is down to your free will. The business of marriage is 2 people coming together to build and grow. You have to take from their pot, they will take from yours. Because for me, the way I understand it is that I had to marry somebody who I was able to learn from and grow with. Kay has qualities that I do not have. That when I take and add to mine, I can see I'm better. Kay knows I have qualities that he doesn't have. So he has to take from my qualities to build his. And when we come together as one. The business of marriage. Marriage means that you're able to have better line of credit because there's two monies coming into the pot. So your affordability goes up. 2 people coming together to grow. That means your financial pot is more healthier. For me personally, what I could not do is marry somebody who wasn't on a path already. I'm fed up of this whole narrative of labouring black women and all this potential. Listen to me. An egg has the potential to be a chicken. But I ain't got time to keep that egg warm as it decides to crack and become a chick. I ain't got time for that. All this potential. Some potential will never realise itself. And I'm not willing to take that risk. What I will say is, you're never going to meet, for me anyway, I knew I was never going to meet the finished article. Yeah? So what I'm investing in is the road that he's already gone on that I'm seeing that is yielding dividend. Can you understand? He's already on that road to that potential business. The only potential I'm seeing is you being a greater man. You have to already be an independent, great man. Simple. Kay looked at me. He knew I was an independent, great woman. I may have not reached the epicenter of excellence, but I was on the road. I'd already achieved so much by the time Kay had met me. Now we have come together. Kay's able to teach me about finances, able to teach me certain things. So the way I move and navigate is now different. I'm telling you, if you are in a relationship with somebody and you've been with them, in my case, for almost 5 years, and you haven't seen a vast improvement in your life, then you need to think about whether this is the right relationship for you, because 5 years is a very long time to not see positive changes in you, your family, or what you have brought together to become one. And that's on period. The greatest thing as black women that we can have is independence. You can still be married and have financial independence. Fact. Let me give you an example of something. My mum had a friend, beautiful woman. This woman is absolutely stunning. She was married to her husband for over 40 years. Her husband passed away. And my mum's friend was stranded because when it was time to put things together, she didn't even know the PIN number for the bank card. They had a joint account and she would always ask him for money and he would give it to her. She didn't know where the documents or the deeds for the house was. She didn't know anything. And she literally had to start her life again. We watched her do it. And I felt this great sadness when I looked at her. She was so dependent on her husband that when he unexpectedly died, she was actually thrusted into real life, because living and breathing in a relationship where you are not independent, to me, is like burying your head. And now that balloon popped and that reality shocked her. She didn't even know what bank accounts he had. She just hazarded a guess that one of the one joint account they had was with Barclays Bank. When she went to Barclays Bank, she didn't even know what to do. She just took the bank card. They said, excuse me, we need ID, we need the death certificate. She didn't know anything. And don't get me wrong, I know that old school love where the man covers you and takes care of house and home. But my thing has always been, I've watched finances kill relationships or kill a partner. In my case, I have witnessed women place undue pressure on a man to provide while she's there doing nothing. And that could never be my story. If something was, God forbid, to happen to Kay, Kay knows I've got us. If something was to, God forbid, happen to me, I know Kay's got us. And that to me is a partnership. That to me is the business of marriage. Some of you are not ready to have that conversation. Some people are walking around marriage. But are you willing to do the preliminary work before you walk the road of marriage? So I may be a desperado, as that troll attempted to say, but I'm a desperado with a man that understands the business of marriage, a man that covers me and loves me. And irrespective of where you meet your partner, let me tell you something, there is no foregone conclusion of where you meet your partner. You can meet your partner on a bus. You can meet your partner at a conference. You can meet your partner on an aeroplane. Don't allow people to start forging restrictions on where you meet your partner and then shame you for meeting somebody. Can you imagine? So if you're single and you're living your life, oh my God, you're single, nobody wants you, you're a reject. If you meet your partner online, you're desperate. You are desperate, paying for this. You are just a desperate person paying somebody to marry you. If you meet your husband online, oh my God, was you prostituting yourself? Everybody always has a story for everything but themselves. Do not be shamed into how you meet your partner. Be shameless in being forthright about what you expect from a partner. Because let me tell you something. You may do love, one tin tin, make a bad man sing, yeah. But when those bills come, you're not there telling 302 and T-Mobile, I'm sorry, I'm doing love, one tin tin. No. there is the financial side of marriage that you have to have that conversation, because what I was never prepared to do is pay for the existence of a man. That's not happening. That's not happening. My dad always told me what I should expect from a man, and I led with that. Gone are the days where men will tell you 50-50. No man can come and tell me 50-50. That's bullshit. I'm not doing it. I will not do it. 50-50, you're dating someone, it's 50-50. So if you're dating someone, it's 50-50. What's going to happen in the marriage? I can tell you now, because we are married, joined by a union, there are things that are 50-50. 100%. But not when you're dating. That's bullshit. If someone's taking you on a date, they should pay. If they asked you, they should pay. They pay for your time. You got ready, you put makeup on. If you didn't put makeup on, you brushed your hair, you cut your toenails, you waxed your vagina. You should be treated like a queen. But when you are married, yeah, 50-50 is not bad. Or however you choose to live. Let me tell you something. There are times when I look on my account and not understand what's happened. I said, where's this money come from? I didn't do this. Kay will be like, yeah, Toya, I put some money in your account. I know you said you wanted to do X, Y, Z. Sometimes he'll just put money in my ISA account. Yeah, just like that. Yesterday, Kay sent me, I think it was like £2,000. Yeah. You want to get real? Let's get real. He sent me £2,000 just because. He said, put it in your savings. You see, when you are doing the business of marriage, cover me, I cover you, innit? There are going to be times when you may earn more than your man or more than your woman. There may be times when reverse is the case. The most important thing is that you have the communication about money, finances, investments and businesses. You have to be able to talk. If you don't have communication in a relationship, if you don't have transparency, it is not going to work. It's not going to work. Let us not allow society assumption and people's stereotypes to govern how we live our lives. As women, we have the business of being independent and financially free. You shouldn't be dependent solely on your partner. It doesn't make sense. What should happen is you should have your own. Even if it's less than what he has, still have your own. Do you know how good it feels to be able, like, maybe you guys think, oh, actually, I don't even know what you guys think. Let me not assume. Do you know how good it felt 2 years ago to walk into an Audi dealership and say to them, this is the specification of car I want to buy. And I bought that car outright by myself. No one gave me no money. I bought it outright. Do you know how good that felt? And that was on my vision board. One of the things I wanted to do is buy a car outright. Rightly or wrongly, that's what I wanted to do. And people were like, oh, it's a waste of money. Well, look at it now. Second-hand cars are doubled in price or have broken even. My car was my car cost, hang on, how much? My car was 11,000, is now worth 12.5 grand. So go figure. That's second-hand car, isn't it? Do you know how good it felt going there? Kay was like, oh, I'm going to come with you. I want to make sure this. I said, no. Okay, I want to go on my own. Because that's something me and my dad would have done, you see. And I brought that. Do you know how good it felt? It felt bloody amazing. I looked at that car, and that car represents independence. It represented to me the financial possibilities. And that may mean nothing to you, but it meant something to me. And that's the most important thing, what it means to you. I went to a perfume shop in Whitechapel. I love oud. And Jennifer, my assistant, said to me that she wanted some oud. So I thought, right, that's a great opportunity. Found the company on TikTok, and I thought, right, I'm going to go and get some oud for her and get myself some oud. And a couple of my friends had gone to Dubai a few years ago and they bought me some stuff. So I'm quite versed when it comes to oud, right? So I got there now and I was going there, I was going around and everything. I bought 4 perfumes. There were 2 of the same, right? When I went to pay for it, my card was declined. I just stood there. I said, yeah, sorry. Maybe it's the pin. They were just looking at me like, your card's declined. People were in the queue. I didn't care. Do you know how good it felt just knowing that? There's money there. Maybe I put the pin wrong or whatever, but the next time it will go through. I did it. it went through. Financial freedom. That may mean nothing to you. But for somebody who, many, many years ago, would be doing Russian roulette, because I don't know if the benefit money is coming or not, that was a big thing for me. That was a big thing for me. Being able to say, yeah, well, I want to buy this, and I know that I can afford it. As women, we need to place ourselves in that position to be able to afford nice things. Let's normalize black female luxury. Hello? Let's normalize it. And black female luxury does not have to be associated with a partner. Why can't it be what we have accomplished and done for ourselves as women? You don't have to depend on anyone to be great. You just have to depend on yourself to deliver and manifest and make sacrifices. The business of marriage is also about individuality. Being able to stand on your own 2 feet and then come together in a marriage and create a union. That's what the business of marriage is. So it doesn't matter where you met your partner. That's irrelevant. What matters is what you do together, how you build together, what you produce together. That's important. Society will have you question every damn thing. Society is like a public toilet. Everybody uses it. Everybody has a flipping opinion. What I realize within myself is that I have now given myself permission to be happy. Because I've sown a lot of seeds. And I thank God for giving me the opportunity and the courage and the grace to be able to do that. You have sown a lot of seeds. Don't you know that suffering is sowing a seed? You have suffered in this life. So if you've made sacrifices, why then do we question whether we are deserving when it's time to reap? I'm going to tell you guys now, I'm going to make a promise to myself. I am going to enjoy the fruits of my labor. I'm going to reap where I have sown. And I am going to do these things unapologetically. If I want something, I'm going to have it. I'm going to make it happen. I know for a fact that Kay has a lot of respect for me. And I equally have so much respect for him. And I think, obviously there's other reasons, but one of the reasons is I know he loves my get up and go attitude. And sometimes I'm not get up and go. I suffer from depression. It is a roller coaster sometimes. But do you know something? I stand by everything I have ever done in my life, good and bad, because even from the bad, I learned to be the person I am now. So, to the person, to the troll, I know who you are. And if you are rattled, you're going to get more rattling. Because the ancestors have really delivered. And my name is Soft Life Esquire. I'm going to be doing soft life living. I'm going to enjoy my life. And if you don't want to watch, switch off. But I will no longer ever engage with a burner account again. If you have a burner account and you message me, you're getting deleted. I'm not even going to read it. I'm not going to dignify you with my time because I need to know who I'm going to invoice for that time. And since you're faceless, gutless, and you're a coward, I cannot pour into you because I'm too busy pouring into my manifestations. And this, queens, is the attitude that we have to have. We need to live our lives unapologetically because we cannot be doing suffering in the workplace to be doing apologist outside of work. God forbid bad thing. If you see something you like and you've worked hard for it, you've made the sacrifice, go and give it to yourself. Our life is not akin to suffering. What's all that? Black women, my fellow black women, we need to be doing soft life incorporated because anything less is not even worthy of a conversation. So I hope that I have fully covered this episode the way it should be. And those who have ears, let them hear and receive the message in this podcast episode. I understand that the business of marriage is very vast, but I hope that I've touched on key topics that have resonated with you. at the end of the day, happiness comes first. But you also have to give yourself permission to be happy. You are a business first. You are a business first. You invest in yourself, you make the sacrifices, and you enjoy. Because this is one life that we have to live. And once that life is gone, that's it. You're not going to be buried with your bank card and your money and your jewelry. You're not. And if you are, you won't be able to enjoy them. So let us do soft life living. Soft Life Incorporated. If you would like to follow me on social media, I do have a YouTube channel called At Home with Toya. Because of what happened on Sunday with the carbon monoxide alarm, unfortunately I was unable to upload a new vlog. However, this week there should be a new vlog on the At Home with Toya YouTube channel. I will leave the links in the show notes. If you want to follow me on social media, I am on TikTok, that's Toya_Washington. I'm also on Instagram, Toya_Washington, and of course the Toy Talks podcast has its Instagram page, Toya_Talks. Of course, I'm on Snapchat, which is Toya Washington. And if you have a work-related dilemma, then please email me, hello@toytalks.com. I know that masterclasses, you guys heard me say this before, but with everything that's happened, been busy, it's been a lot, but keep your eyes peeled. There is a lot of things that are coming, and a lot of things that will be released. And I want to thank you for your understanding and your patience, because a lot has been happening and moving hasn't been a joke. It's been a lot, and I just thank God for the opportunity, but also I thank God for your patience and for you guys just always supporting the podcast and the platform. I apologize for the background noise. As you can hear, it's the fan from the MacBook in which I'm recording the podcast. I will be replacing this MacBook because for me, it's about top tier content. Top tier. If you have an organisation, you're working in an organisation and you need a public speaker to talk about some of the challenges in the workplace that we as Black women face navigating the world of work, then please go on my website, toytalks.com. You will also see, I do the public speaking, hello@toytalks.com. If you email, my assistant will reply to you about what you're looking for, availability and things like that. If you're interested in any of our masterclasses, the CV masterclass, the interview skills masterclass, the negotiating masterclass, redundancy masterclass, and the mother and daughter masterclass, please go ahead and have a watch on toytalks.com. Thank you so much for listening. If you are listening on Spotify, please rate the podcast. If you're listening to the podcast on Apple Podcasts, please rate and review the podcast. And any podcast platform in which you're able to rate and review, your reviews and your ratings will be much appreciated. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast and joining me as you do each and every Tuesday. If you are new to the Toy Talks podcast family, make sure you acquaint yourself with some of the past podcast episodes and make sure you have a look at the show notes to understand the content of each podcast. Thank you guys. I love you all. Until next time, my name is Toya Washington and you have been listening to the Toy Talks podcast.